when it becomes a numbers game of qualifying and what you send to the NCAA championships, and when I look at yours, I'll split it up. Women first. It's everybody looks at it as 12 Aggie athletes for the women qualified in 16 entries,
Right.
and they will run 9 events totals. That's how so much of this is looked at. Is that the numbers that you wanted to see coming out of that?
Yeah, I don't think we have a person at home on either side, the men or the women. Maybe one on the male side that we felt like didn't advance to this point.
Mm-hmm.
So we're sending 26 of our athletes, men and women, to this championship, and this is basically who we are. This is our team. We have 130 athletes, but this 26 now is the cream of the crop. This is the starting lineup. This is the group that, if you're going to get it done, these are the guys and gals that get it done.
Well, as a coach, as you work all year to get to this championship to win it,
right.
So you'll be able to bring essentially who you would, if at the start of the season we had said, who do you want to bring? This is essentially what you want to bring. How proud are you of you and your staff as the job you did to get them there, and how proud are you of the kids to actually make it happen?
Well, I think that's a really good point, because the staff, the level of consistency of work starting in September, and we start in September, and we're still going the second week in June. We have an extremely long season, and it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of work to stay healthy, and it takes the right kind of work to stay healthy. You could be a great sprinter. I think everybody understands you can throw the ball real hard. You can be a great pitcher, but if you aren't in great shape, you're not going to be a great pitcher very long. Yeah. And the same is true with sprinting. The same is true with any skilled event. You have to train very hard to be at the top of your game, and we're healthy. And so that means if you compete at a very high level, we've done the right things in training. Because really, the way we coach, we're walking down a real thin line. You're either progressing in the sport because you're working really hard. You're either progressing or you fall off the other side where you're hurt. You're right on the edge of being hurt all the time. And that's the only way you progress to get better.
And we were talking about the numbers game, and like I mentioned with Coach, for the women it's 12 athletes, and you mentioned 26 total, so it's 14 men going to the NCAA championships. 19 entries will compete in 14 events.
Yeah.
Do you ever play this game, the numbers game? Do you do the math saying if we can get these points in this event, we'll be all right? If somebody can rise above this certain number, it would push us towards a championship? How often do track coaches play that numbers game going into the NCAA championships, because it is based on a point system and they can be scarce because there's so much competition in this?
I learned a long time ago I was unable to add very well.
But you don't like the
I
math
have good
of it.
staff.
So you fit in well with us with the no adding part.
There's some people that can sit down and they kind of figure some things out. And I'm going to look at an overall. I know if we do these kinds of things, if we do this and we do that, if we're in the mix here, we got a chance to be in the mix at the end of the meet. Yeah, I look at it that way. Now I'll have some assistants from time to time. They'll point it out. They'll go 10 points, 8, 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is how you score this thing, and they'll score it out. And all of the polls, of course, score it out.
Yeah.
But they're always wrong.
Yeah.
But because it really does, it comes down to whether or not that pole vaulter, he could have one more miss in a progression of makes. He could have one more miss in a progression of making the bar, make the same bar the other guy does, but because he missed one more time at this other height, he scores 2 less points than this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many variables that it's tough to point it out, add up points. But going into this championship, my goal as a head coach and our goal as a staff in recruiting and team development, we want to be in the mix every time. Mm-hmm. We want to have the athletes there that we feel like we can get into. We're going to recruit at a level. We're going to work hard enough that we're going to be in that 6, 8, 9, 10 schools. Then if we really do things right, we have a chance to win. And that's kind of the way we want to try to do things.
from a sort of a big picture perspective, break down the team race as you kind of see it. Let's start on the men's side. Aggies defending national champions in that one. Teams that will challenge your squad. Obviously, you've got a bunch of people going up there, so you like what you're taking up there. Some teams that we might expect to see in the mix along with Texas A&M on the final day.
Well, Florida will be very competitive. They are probably ranked to win this one right now on paper. Arkansas has a good team. University of Texas has a good group of individuals. On that side, I looked for those teams. LSU could slip in there if they were to be perfect, but I kind of look at 4 teams probably right now that have the qualifiers and that have advanced through this first round, right? Some people made mistakes in the first round, and so you come back and you relook at some things, and so I like where we're sitting, but Florida looks very, very good. Arkansas could be very good, although they had a couple of mishaps. And then the hometown group, probably if they hit on everything, has potential to win it as well on the men's side.
And with the women, is it a little more difficult for them? And I only say that because we read off the numbers earlier, and they have just a tick less going up to Eugene than the men?
No, I've taken a group of 12 to 14 people and had 4 score, and we've won. Because those 4, we won 3 and 4 events, and you score 30 or 40 points. In some years, that puts you right up at the top of it. I think to win this one, you're going to have to score between 55 and probably 66, 68 points to win this one. I think if you score in the 60s, I think you might win the meet. So potentially you go down and you look at things. You say the 4x1 is 10 points, the 4x2 is 10 points, the quarter is 10 points. This is 10 points, the hurdles is 10 points, 8 points, 6 points, 4 points. So it just comes down to everybody getting it done on that day.
Some teams, same usual suspects
on
on the women's side as well.
Yeah, I think Oregon will be very good up there, but the University of Texas comes in. They have a good group coming into this meet, and if they're, although they had a little mishap at the regionals, maybe first round they might have, we can't quite tell, but they could be very, very tough. Arkansas women, if they hit on all cylinders, they're going to be in the mix as well. LSU, I don't think they have quite the I think they're a little better on the men's side than they are in the women. But there's always a couple teams that are going to slip in and score very well. SC on the men's side, I don't think UCLA has got a group that would do that. We saw them this last week, and I didn't see the amount of people I didn't think that they had at this meet. But once again, I can overlook 4 people that are very good, or 4 second places. You score 32 points, you're in the mix.
Yeah.
And like we said, points are so scarce here.
Yeah.
It's just
and
one misstep, 1 millisecond matters for the whole team competition.
Well, this region meet, there were almost 150 schools represented at this meet we just went through. To say that you were in the top 6 or 8 in that group, or you won that group, that's an amazing feat. When you split the country right in half and you beat half of the country, you did pretty good.